All right, hello everybody. It is May 20th, and it's time to do a part 3 of my 2-year carniversary, and this one is the tough one. It's taken me a while to sort of gather my thoughts about it, and we've got a few things to discuss, and it's basically my side of the spiritual side of my life, and how things have greatly changed in the last 2 years, being an animal-based carnivore, and basically how my thoughts and I went vegan for 3 days. Like, full disclosure, this is, it might upset a lot of people, but or whatever, it doesn't matter, because this is my N of one, the experiment on myself, and I have my reasons, and I'll get to it a little bit later. But I went plant-based for 3 days at the end of last month, and it was right before my 2-year carniversary, and I have my reasons, and we'll get to that later. But this part 3 is first of all, things that have gone on this last few years have been absolutely crazy. Everybody's been affected one way or another by the things that have transpired, and first of all, I would like to say this right now. This is not meant to offend. I'm not preaching. I'm just showing I'm going to try and show my thought process on where I'm at now compared to where I was then. And, it's how I got here. And things have been, especially over the last 5-6 months, have been really becoming a little bit easier for me to deal with the choices I've made, my past, and I'm going to try and put it in a video without editing and without trying to make it too long. And I'm going to say this. I never thought of myself as a spiritual person. I never thought of myself into any kind of woo stuff. But the full disclosure, I meditate every day. And my breath work has sort of led me down that path. And now I've said this before, I have sort of 5 pillars: eat, sleep, move, breathe, and love. And I think love is highly underestimated right now. And I think the world could use a little bit of, compassion and love. And spoiler alert, it starts with you. Your judgment, your perception, the way you take things into consideration. I think we've lost perspective. I think we've lost the ability to openly debate and discuss very serious issues. And I think it's gotten blown way out of control, where people are polarized. And, how I got to being where I'm at in my mind, in my body. I think 2 years ago when I went carnivore, that's when the physical things I started healing physically, and with my body came my brain. And now in part 2, I talked about things I've come to realize. And my biggest thing now is, you have the power. The power is inside me, and if I take care of myself, my body, mind, and soul first, then I can offer maybe some guidance or a different perspective or an opinion to you. This is Anthony Stewart. This is Food for Thought. This is part 3, the spiritual side. Now, I was raised, I guess you could argue, Roman Catholic, although my grandmother, bless her heart, always said the 10 Commandments were good. And I never really thought much about religion. I never thought I was Christian. I was basically, I guess you could call me agnostic, maybe even atheist at times, but it was always constantly revolving. I know for a great deal of my life, I did not believe in God. And what happened was, I was in a very dark place about 4 years ago, not only physically, but mentally. And maybe in a future video, I'll explain exactly what it transpired. But for right now, the point is, it was very, very isolating, very, very dark. And randomly, this guy came up to me, and he wasn't a Caucasian, and he wasn't from my culture. We'll just leave it at that. And he didn't speak English, but he handed me the Bible. And at first I thought he was nuts. Like, what are you doing to me? Like, what? I don't want to read that. And then I thought for, a day staring at the Bible, maybe it's time I read it. So I opened up the Bible and I started reading the Old Testament. Started at Genesis and started going through it. And to be honest with you, I didn't understand a word of it. I mean, I could sort of get like from an outside perspective looking at the lessons in there, but I mean, for like, why? What was this for? So anyway, that started me questioning my faith. And then I took a couple like seminars on Bible studying and trying to relate these stories to life, and it kind of got me more lost. But anyway, that was sort of at the same time that I started taking in my physical health into my own hands. Started the low carb, started getting in shape physically, started being able to move, and it was all sort of a progression where it was sort of on the back burner. Learned about some things about your subconscious mind, and that just led me to more questions. And I got to a certain point when the pandemic started that I was like, what is this life? What are we doing here? Why are we here? Who am I? What is God? And as I started healing, and as I started thinking, as I started learning about nutrition and your body and how everything is a dance and everything, all the information, well, I shouldn't say all, but the information out there, why are there conflicting sides? And where do I sit? And I started realizing that it was up to me to be able to navigate this journey with an open mind and be able to take things for what they were, learn about them, learn both sides, and do what I think is right. A good, better, best situation, or a what makes sense to me situation. And that led me to, choosing to go animal-based because I put it all on the table. At one point, I was going to go plant-based vegan because I thought I'd enrolled in nutrition school, and then I heard about these carnivores, and then I realized how healthy meat was. And, I'm not going to get preachy and I'm not going to get into science, but what makes sense to me is that meat is very healthy for a human being. Now, where that led was to feeling better, working out, getting stronger. My body was changing. Everything was sort of going into this. There was this constant thing in my brain that was, if we were that wrong with nutrition, maybe we were wrong in other areas. So I started reading books. I read a lot of books about a lot of things. And then I came into breath work. After the pandemic, during the pandemic, when the jabs all came out, my life turned upside down. I'm not going to lie. I went through a really, really hard time with family, with friends. I felt very isolated. My thoughts and my opinions were not the mainstream. And that led me to really, really dig deep inside. Started breathing. With breath work, and I'm going to try and get this summed up, and I really do apologize. This video might be long, but this is something that's very important. So as I was breathing, I started feeling something, and that led me to back a few years ago when I was really getting into, I read a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, and it sort of clicked that while I'm breathing and doing these long breath holds, isn't that a bit of meditation? So while I was learning about breath work and what it was doing, then it sort of sparked another sort of avenue into how we breathe connects to everything. And then I started thinking about a breath. What is breath? Breath connects every single religion, every single exercise, every single second of every day revolves around breath. So could it be connected? Yoga, the connection with breath, all of it. So I started using my breath holds as a chance to start getting into meditation, becoming conscious and aware of things. And it was fascinating. As my life was falling apart, I was building strength. And to the point now where, yes, I feel great every day. But now this is a work in progress. I'm getting to the point where I feel I'm in control. And it takes, sometimes, the thoughts get in there, and I'm a human. I have thoughts and emotions, and I'm not driven by emotions anymore. And yet I'm trying to always take myself out of a situation and look at the big picture, look at my brain, look at my body, look at my reactions. And I am 100% convinced that the power is within you. Our power, our thoughts are choices. We can choose to act, react on what we're thinking. We can choose to think about things or not think about things. And that came down to learning more about what life is, what consciousness is. And every single path led me to the Hermetic Principles, the Kabbalion, the book, the Four Agreements, a book I read, and The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Now these books have taken me to a different level. And I feel, this is my opinion, that my body is healed or healing. Now my mind is becoming true. Everything is on the table. So what did I do? I started meditating, started focusing, some days was affirmations, some days was prayer. And now, full disclosure, I say the Pater Nostra. You guys can Google that if you want. You'll know what it is. Twice a day. Once when I wake up, once when I go to bed. And I wouldn't classify myself as a stereotypical Christian. I smile the minute I wake up. Why? Because I'm blessed to be alive where so many others didn't wake up. That one thought every morning makes me smile, and it sparks my day. It changes things. You should try it. That's some advice. So with praying, affirmations, manifestation practices, breath work, meditation, I'm learning from, you could call it the esoteric teachings, mystery schools, whatever, has led me down paths of science where there's quantum physics, archaeology, biology, biochemistry, alchemy, and it's all on the table. And one thing that I have found, the standard model is flawed in almost every single system we have. And it's okay to ask questions. And you know what? When you ask real, honest questions, don't be afraid of what you might learn. And if you can take a open-minded look at all these fields of science, it's all connected. We are all connected. I do believe in the unified source, field, God, true source, universe, whatever you want to call it. There is something that connects each and every one of us, everything in this universe. And I've heard from great minds, Robert E. Grant, Greg Braden. These people are very, very intelligent scientists, mathematicians, polymaths if you include, but they all take value in learning from ancient wisdom. And, this is what led me to learning about astrology. And did I 100% think astrology was anything? No, I thought it was a bunch of horoscope crap on the newspaper. And then I started putting it all together. And in my puzzle, it's all connected. Frequency, vibration, energy, electromagnetism. And then when you get into the meat and bones of it, there's a guy called Santos Bonacci, and he explains what astrology is. The true science. It still all relates. Blew my mind. I just got my first astrology reading done, or it's getting done now, because I am open-minded to everything. That led me to why I went vegan for 3 days. Now, there is something, I will post the link below, and I've heard Wim Hof talk about cerebrospinal fluid. I've heard people talk about chakras. It's everywhere. That's fair enough. This ties into Christmas. This ties into the distribution of your spinal fluid. This ties into what actually goes on when your moon is in your star sign. Now, this might sound woo to some people, but if you are open-minded to this, check out the link to, I'll put 2 down there. One from Santos Bonacci, one from Be Inspired. Couple great channels. And I thought, why not try it? Now, every single person that's talking, well, not every single, a lot of the big people that are into the esoteric, mystic, gurus are plant-based, are vegan. I'm not going to get into politics because I don't like to be political. I have a different opposing view to that. Now, that does not mean I agree with being vegan. I will say this, being an experiment on myself, I thought, because I was going to try this 3-day, when the moon was in my star sign, very deep meditation practice, I went plant-based. I tried. I wanted to see what happened. Would my gut be able to handle it? How would I feel? And what would happen if meat wasn't available for some reason? Would I be able to sort of... So I had questions, and I used this as a time to just check out and see what happened. Well, what happened? I mean, I still ate low sugar fruit, ate nutritional yeast for the B vitamins, fermented things, no dairy, no, pretty much vegan food. Salad, big salads, apple cider vinegar. What I noticed, my gut didn't change at all. I was fine. Had a couple looser movements, but there was no pain, no discomfort, no nothing. I was perfectly fine for 3 days. I looked at it as sort of a shift. I was expecting a little bit of stress. My energy was fine. All I knew is I wasn't getting the protein. But that's, for another topic. So for 3 days into where the moon was in my star sign, I fasted. And I had some mind-blowing meditations. I'm not going to lie. I felt really, really good. I worked the whole time through it. But now, to be honest with you, I did not do this for health reasons. I did this as a test to my body and to see how I reacted and to see if I could go deep into a meditation. So I am under no impression that that was for health. But seeing as all these different ethnic, religion, spiritual people are mostly plant-based, I wanted to see if it had some merit. And you know what? To be honest with you, next month when my moon is in my star sign, I'm going to fast. That's my summation. I may try it again later because I do not believe plants are generally, especially the ones you buy at the supermarket, are good. But I will post that link below. And I'm sorry this one took a little bit longer, but I want people to realize the power is within you. The more I get into the esoteric teachings and questioning religion, the more comfortable I'm feeling in my own skin. And I can't wait for the next few years for things to start happening. I encourage you to start learning about everything. Keep an open mind. Love. These are very powerful things. If you heal and get yourself righteous within you, that's where the power is. You don't have to rely on anybody else. Health is free if you know where to look. I do believe that. I mean, obviously we got to pay for food, but everything that is healthy is free. Nature, go walking, breathing, meditating, fasting, all of it might have a place in your life. All of it could be beneficial if you feel good doing it. So that's my goal, to feel great every day. This has taken me to the next level. I don't know how to meditate properly. I don't even know if I'm doing it properly, but I feel good and I'm listening to different people and different techniques and I'm trying to come up with it myself. So that's why I'm not pushing it on anybody, but I encourage you to start learning about these alternative healing practices that can be very powerful. We're going to leave it at that. Leave me a comment. Hopefully this wasn't too long for everybody. Stay strong.